39 seconds of logos. Scream movie begins with a phone call cliche, and it's a rotary phone? What, we don't give y'all a hard enough time about people having landlines in 2023? Samara Weaving does a favor.
Hi.
I want the movie to scare me with psychological tension and murder and narrow escapes. I don't want it to scare me by reminding me of my awkward social memories when I waved at no one.
It's all cliche, but out of those cliches comes an opportunity for outsider art.
Attempting to justify the endless wash, rinse, repeat cash grab that is this franchise.
I don't see you.
Really? Are you sure?
Exactly how dumb is this person?
That's not funny.
This woman has 18 seconds between finding out her mystery date is Ghostface and when she's stabbed. Why didn't she run? Throw off those heels and haul ass back to the restaurant. With 18 seconds, I could have put a tray of pizza rolls in the oven, cooked them, and burned the out of my tongue, finished all of them, and still had time to get away. Why aren't the FBI trailing every single person who buys this mask? And if you tell me it's a mass-produced mask that tens of millions of people own, then I will ask why they didn't call the product dangerous and pull it from shelves. Okay, props for having the killer remove the mask in the first scene and subverting our expectations, but that is still Flash Thompson, and I will never be afraid of that guy. Okay, so she moved to New York City since Scream 5. That's fine. I'm sure she's the only previous cast member that will come up. They couldn't all go to New York City at the same time. That would be ridiculous.
Honey, I'm home.
If there's anything Zoomers appreciate, it's an I Love Lucy reference. Way to stay hip and fresh, Scream 6. It's totes yeet fire is coated with the sauce. Not cleaning off your bloody mask before re-enshrining it. Gah, is he washing his hands with steel wool? What the f***? That's depraved even for a serial killer.
I'm not mad, Jason.
Dude, we said we wouldn't use the voice on each other.
You are apparently in a kill pact with this guy, but the voice is somehow the thing that crosses the line? Why would you two make a rule about using the voice? That's infantile.
Just tell me what it felt like. Then maybe I'll come out.
Asking to hear your friend describe a murder is a weird condition to lay down before you come out as queer. Not that I'm discriminating against LGBTQ plus Ghostface. I support the inclusion. It's just a strange setup.
Is that why you killed her? Because of the C-? Who's next, your grade school vice principal?
Greg the Ghostface would be slashing at CinemaSins.
We're finishing Richie's film.
That's right, by killing Sam and Tara.
Lore.
Do you know warm or colder?
The game is actually called Hot or Cold. Or if you want to go old school, Hunt the Thimble. Look it up, it's a real thing. We hate movies. These two guys are roommates and conspirators for mass murder. There's no way this one would play along with a stupid game this long. I'm not saying he would know for sure it wasn't his actual roommate on the other end of the phone, but he would have hung up ages ago. The movie immediately undoes its reveal the killer right off the bat originality goodwill by killing that killer. The Scream movies are cursed by their obsession without surprising the previous versions.
Who gives a f*** about movies?
Has this movie even seen the previous 6 movies? Also, I'm gonna bookmark this in case the movie never tells us how the real killer even knew these two were planning to do a killing spree with the mask, because it feels like the kind of movie that might not ever bother to explain that shit.
So how are the new meds treating you?
Henry Sheerney does a favor. But also, why is this therapist office filled with dark and mysterious knickknacks and odd decor? Wait, the door is open? What the kind of therapy is this?
My father was Billy Loomis. He was a famous serial killer.
This therapy scene is just a previously on Scream 5 in disguise.
I stabbed him 22 times and slit his throat. And then I shot him in the head.
I was considering removing a sin because I went back and watched, and she did indeed stab him 22 times. But Sam left out the only reason she had the knife to stab Richie with in the first place was because a hallucination of her serial killer daddy guided her to it. Now I'm just thinking about how stupid that was. So here's 22 sins for reminding me of that in the first place.
I'm not equipped to deal with this kind of thing.
You take on trauma patients, but you're not equipped to deal with helping them deal with said trauma?
You guys have been checking each other out for months. Why don't you just talk to him?
Wow, she lives at the Peeping Tom Towers apartment building. Wait, this Yellow Jacket is here in New York City too? At the same house party as Tara?
I think of it like being struck by lightning. The odds of it happening twice to the same person are extremely low.
Yep, that's definitely impossible.
Guess I should stay close to you then.
I was also considering removing a sin for the movie having a lesbian couple and not making a big deal out of it, but then I remembered Annika dies in like an hour, furthering the bury your gays trope. God damn, it's like lesbians can't exist in film without being murdered or dying horribly of cholera in the 1800s.
You know what? I got a bottle of Fireball up in my room.
Oh, with a black light and a drawer full of crabs.
Don't worry, I'll take care of her. I'm Frankie.
The way this line comes off, dude might as well have said, I am the least trustworthy person alive.
Holy shit, it's that psycho girl.
I'll tell you what's psycho, my dude. Siding with the man trying to drag an inebriated girl up to his room for sex and calling Samantha a psycho after she protected her little sister.
If I want to hook up with an asshole, that's my decision.
I think she's rightish, but she's also inebriated.
You can't do it for the rest of my life, though.
Really glad we get to rehash the sisters fighting for half the movie again. Didn't seem like Scream 5 did that enough. I will kill the next movie that has a character using an inhaler. Not the director, I will kill the movie itself. This is the most overused weakness trope bullshit in all of film history. And on behalf of asthma sufferers, all 26 million of you in the US, making it a weakness or a crutch. F***ity, f*** it.
He even transferred to the NYPD when I got into college, so. Stalker much?
Are you calling your father a stalker or the NYPD? Just kidding. They both are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was just more messed up than I realized.
You know what helps people who are more messed up than they realize? Therapy. You should take your sister's advice and find a counselor to address that trauma.
I'm gonna go, but get some rest, get sober.
A lot to unpack here. First, this makeout gets interrupted and the dude immediately bails for home instead of waiting for the intruding girl to leave. I once got caught making out in a prayer chapel and still tried to go back to the kissing when that person left. Second, he says get some rest and get sober, which suggests he knows she's drunk and he was still ready to get down until they were interrupted.
Being famous isn't all it's cracked up to be.
This is certainly true, but try telling that to any non-famous people who want to be famous. Ah, yes, if there's one thing college kids love and do all the time, it's watching the news. That totally tracks.
Quinn, your dad's a cop, right? Can you call him and find out what's going on? Before you make the unilateral decision to abandon my college education and flee the f***ing state.
Now, Tara, calm down. Samantha didn't say one word about fleeing the state. She talked about getting out of the city. You can stay in New York if that's what you're upset about. Go check out Rochester or Buffalo or Albany or Syracuse. Actually, strike that. Don't go to Syracuse. Nothing good happens there. Oh, for the love of...
I never deleted his contact.
You didn't get a new phone number after you were almost murdered by your boyfriend? That'd be the first thing I did after surviving a murder attempt.
Hey!
Giving the murderer you're trying to shoot a heads up. Just pump the gun and pull the trigger, man. Could have ended this entire thing here.
Go out the back!
The gate gets locked!
This bodega was woefully underprepared for an attack by a horror villain. I gotta say, the Scream mask killer using a shotgun really makes him, her, them seem like a little bitch. Hold up, you're telling me Ghostface had enough time to get up, run over to the cashier, take the key ring, figure out which one unlocked the back door, and run off in that little amount of time? Shit, I know which key unlocks my front door, and half the time it takes me 30 seconds to fumble and get it in the lock. I'm sure it's all being recorded, but this dude left these girls alone in a room with his signed-in laptop and his detective's notebook?
DNA says that it belonged to someone named Richie Kirsch. Does that ring a bell?
One of the most frustrating things about this movie is how much time it takes to explain shit to people who should already know the shit being explained.
So, our roommate's dad just happened to pull our case.
I can totally give it back if you're uncomfortable. It's up to you.
It's fine.
This is completely glossed over, even though it's fishy as f***.
I think I can vouch for Quinn, so that's one less we have to worry about.
Except you can't vouch for Quinn because she's your f***ing daughter.
FBI's here, claiming jurisdiction.
Good for the FBI. Why don't these girls have a lawyer yet?
Can I help you?
Special Agent Kirby Reed, FBI.
Yes, it's the series' most important character, the cheerleader from Heroes, who was in the 4th movie. Hooray!
Is this the mask he was wearing when he attacked you?
Asking the victim ridiculous shit they can't possibly verify.
I talked to Sydney.
The balls on this movie to directly reference Sydney after not paying Nev Campbell what she was worth. That's 10 cents, motherfuckers.
She sends her love, but she's taking Mark and the kids someplace safe.
That's the best you could do. You f***ers are lazy. Sydney couldn't go anywhere on the planet to avoid the Ghostface killer. That was kind of the whole point. How do you stab a guy in the face and have no blood on your gloves?
You're beautiful, sweetie. Let's hold questions to the end.
But why? You don't have a time limit. This isn't an official presentation. You're just talking with your friends outside of class. Why on earth would your girlfriend need to hold her questions until the end?
But we're not in a sequel, because nobody just makes sequels anymore. We're in a franchise!
This shit is honestly exhausting. I'm glad there are folks that enjoy it, but this movie feels like a middle finger to fans of classic, innovative horror like The Thing, or Alien, or Scream.
Rule 1. Everything is bigger than last time. Bigger budget, bigger cast, bigger body count.
Jamie Kennedy is turning over in his grave. You're telling me that Kennedy dude is still alive?
Franchises only survive by subverting expectations.
Tell that to the MCU.
Laurie Strode, Nancy Thompson, Ellen Ripley, Sally Hardesty, Jigsaw, Tony Stark, James Bond. I mean, even Luke Skywalker all died so their franchises could live on.
Yeah, but Ellen Ripley's a poor example. As soon as she died in 3, they turned right around and brought her back for Resurrection. She didn't die so her franchise could live on. Her death was designed to end a trilogy until Fox realized they could milk the IP a little more and decided to bring her back.
DNA match for Roman Bridger.
The Ghostface who was directing Stab 3.
I think it would honestly be easier to follow this movie if they stopped explaining everyone's previous movie connections.
Forget about the movies don't matter.
Hard not to take this as a direct reference, but regardless, it's the books that don't matter.
Whoever's doing this is leading us back to Sam.
If you had told me 20 years ago that a Scream sequel would pair the cheerleader from Heroes and the guy who's most famous for having a name similar similar to Dylan McDermott solving the murders, I'd have punched you in the face and claimed self-defense. He watches with a suspicious face as Kirby leaves, but it's only so you won't think he's the killer.
Hey, Jack, call the Atlanta field office. Dig up what you can on Agent Reed.
Does the FBI make a habit of giving out information on its agents to city-level detectives?
We do not have to stay here.
Well, too bad. I insist. Safety in numbers.
Or rounding up the sheep for slaughter. But you do you.
We're hearing from sources inside the homicide division that the prime suspect is none other than Samantha Carpenter.
Duh. Everyone acts surprised to hear this from the TV, but her ID was literally found at the scene.
We moved here together for one very specific reason.
You guys all moved out here together on purpose, and I'm only just now finding out?
We are the core folk.
These sequel characters acting like legacy status is earned after 2 movies are adorable.
No, and don't use my good face wash. It's pH balance for women.
The fuck? Men and women do not have different pH level requirements for face washes. Characters stare at the thin piece of wood separating them from a killer for several seconds before thinking to run. This dude just had an extendable ladder in his bedroom right near the window ready to deploy at a moment's notice? This is New York City! This might be the most convenient convenience to ever convene. Have you ever known a person that lived 3 or more stories above ground in an apartment in New York City that kept a 20-foot ladder on hand? If so, you are lying.
You have to go. You have to go.
No, Minnie, no! I'll be right behind you, I promise.
These two waste time on this meaningless debate instead of just escaping. Instead of pushing on the ladder and then dropping its end, the ghostie decides to jostle the ladder. I guess to make her maybe fall? Killer's motives make no sense here, but she does end up falling, so joke's on me.
Someone took our knives, so we couldn't fight back.
What about your taser, though? Does that only get used on drunk frat boys?
I don't know who I can trust.
Then don't trust anyone. Not your friends, not me.
But if I can't trust you, then can I trust the advice you just gave about not trusting you?
Both my kids are gone.
That's a shame.
Don't worry. I'm just really good at my job. We'll get there.
Are you really good at your job, or are you the only original cast member left in these movies?
Well, cops like money, and evidence can get lost pretty easily.
I'd buy that explanation for a prop or two, but everything in the goddamn room? Don't you think a string of missing evidence from the longest-running serial killer investigation in the U.S. would raise a few red flags at the federal law enforcement level?
Hot damn, how cool is this place?
No.
Yes.
God damn it! I understand Skeet Ulrich probably needs the paycheck, but I found this gimmick tired by the end of Scream 5.
TV that killed Stumacher. If you believe he's dead.
We watched him die, though. Is the movie trying to rip off all the previous movies in the franchise and make some kind of commentary about how little actual evidence matters to conspiracy theorists? Oh yeah, she's got asthma. It was introduced ages ago and then forgotten about, but I'm guessing now that we're seeing it again, it's about to become important. What's that? It's not?
But you can still make your own family, even if it's just with one person.
Sweet. Wait, one person total or one person besides me? Hello? Is the lady that said that still there?
I almost died after I was stabbed.
No
I think I might have an idea about how to turn the tables on this creep.
Is it a mirror?
Sorry, Gail. No press allowed. Police business. I'm good at my job, too.
Except the detective you partnered with has been bumped from the case, and your plan takes place on public property. So there's really no way for you to keep Gail out of this. Hey, look at that. I guess you aren't good at your job, Kirby.
It's a cop car! You can't steal a cop car!
You actually can.
You know you're like the 10th guy to try this, right?
Actually, since 3 of the Ghostface killers up until this movie were women, the guy you're talking to is probably the 7th guy to try this. You're wearing a leather glove. How the f*** do you make the swing noise of metal meeting metal?
How's that for nostalgia, f***er?
It's cute that you think there's only one killer. Actually, it's not cute. It's annoying because you've been here all along for each of these things, and the Scream movies almost always have 2 killers. I'm so tired of hearing landline phones ring in these movies. Made sense in 1996. It makes no sense in 2023.
Can you hold, please?
Finally, someone does something smart in these movies, and I almost took a sin off before remembering how dumb it was for Ghostface to keep his ringer on. You were so close, movie.
Hey, face!
God damn it, stop alerting the killer to the fact that you're about to shoot them. You did that at the bodega, and you did it here now. Could have ended everything right here.
Tell Sydney. He never got me.
But he did. He stabbed you. We saw it. It was like just a few moments ago, actually.
We're a team, remember?
Actually, we're family.
But I don't see a single Corona bottle.
I'll tell Kirby to meet you there and I'll join you as soon as I can.
You've already been there and set up a bunch of shit, but whatever, dude.
This is a South Perry Valley Local 1 train. The next stop is 79th Street.
I'm impressed. There is actually a 1 train that has a stop for 79th Street and ends at a ferry in New York. However, The movie fails to accurately depict the two people you see furiously jerking off every time you ride the subway. Why go through the trouble of getting the schedule right, only to miss a key detail of riding public transit in New York? I love how these morons somehow made it all the way through the gates and down the stairs and into the subway car before they realized there were people all around in costumes, including Ghostface costumes. You really have to be pretty unobservant to make it as a main character in a Scream movie. Fine, I'll take a sin off for your stupid, amazing subway car sequence. Man, the train is really giving Ghostface a huge advantage with this extended darkness.
Whenever someone says we're safe here, it means you're not.
I feel like seeing visions of your serial killer dad is the kind of thing trauma might create. But I see no basis for those visions being constructive and able to give good in-the-moment advice.
They fired Kirby 2 months ago for being mentally unstable.
Well, that's definitely not a piece of information the FBI would have let you have. Hell, the HR department at the sex shop I used to work at wouldn't have handed out that kind of info about an ex-employee. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't get into a makeout session when you know a serial killer is hunting you. Chat. What? He is the killer?
My name's not Ethan Landry. Is it, Dad?
It's easy to fool the audience when you do rug-pulling stupid shit like this. Like, maybe we figure he's one of the killers since he's new, but no one is going to guess that the reason is because he's a secret son no one ever heard of. That's ridiculous.
Hey, roomies. You didn't see that one coming, did you?
Well, how could they have?
How easy it is to convince the world to believe the worst in people rather than the best.
It seems pretty easy to go in the opposite direction as well. All you're really saying is that people are largely stupid, which I agree with, but I still have to sin you for trying to say it fancy.
You're Richie's family.
I don't know how I feel about this connection to the previous movie, but I do know how I feel about Gale Weathers being talented enough to look through the financial records of deceased college students, but not also be able to track down family connections to the roommates of Sam, Tara, and Chad. Seems like something a reporter of her caliber would have been able to dig up and suss out.
And he inspired others. We had to kill those 2 wannabe film students because, well, we had to kill you first, Sam.
Okay, but how did you even learn that 2 wannabe film students in the understood to be quite large New York City were planning to kill her? One half of that duo made their first ever kill, and you were waiting to kill him in his apartment when he got home.
Everyone who had anything to do with the death of my son suffers and dies.
Well, by that logic, you can't kill Gale and Mindy. Gale didn't touch Richie, and Mindy was just a victim in Scream 5.
Gotcha!
Premature stab celebration. Jesus, this movie saw Mel Gibson's bloodthirsty overacting in The Patriot and said, "Hold my beer." Here, the sisters will sit and share a few moments of bonding instead of going to the hospital.
I called Mount Sinai and Mindy and Gail are gonna be okay.
That's too bad. Is that Tara with her arm in a sling and nothing else? Dude fucking stabbed her in the gut. How is she even walking? Oh, give me a fucking break. He was stabbed 1,000 times. Denying your boyfriend the vital oxygen he needs so you can kiss him. If Ghostface didn't kill Chad, you just might. Now Mindy comes running up to the gang after being stabbed in the stomach multiple times on the subway. This movie about stabbing really doesn't understand shit about stabbing.
You okay?
Well, she was stabbed in the stomach quite deeply a few minutes ago. Littering.
Dude, put that thing away. They're like children here.
I totally choked. My father is gonna go ballistic on me.
He's inspiring. He inspires me to be a better man.
I'm afraid I need you to come down to the station.
That's right, it's time for...
You should be thanking me, Sam.
You should thank me for protecting you.
Mom, Dad, when I got married, one of the things that made me sure that I could do it was the amazing example the 2 of you set for me.
You suck.
I've been sleeping with cute boy from across the hall.
I'm Scott, and I need to flip the light switch on and off 17 times before I leave a room or my family will die.
I don't believe it. Now my pants are chafing.